in your book, White House Diary, you said actually, quote, normalizing relations with China required that we travel a long, difficult path to a politically unpopular but correct decision.
Yes, it was very unpopular in my country because Taiwan had been our allies, you know, and our friend, and we had a treaty with Taiwan, which I had to break. But fortunately, the United States Constitution gives the president the power to recognize governments, and my choice was to recognize the People's Republic of China.
So we particularly welcome the opportunity to exchange students and scholars and to improve our trade, technological, scientific, and cultural contacts.
So that was 1979, and and how do you think, from your personal perspective, how do you think that your decision by letting young generation and young people knowing each other better, how does that influence contemporary U.S.-China relations?
Well, one of the most important things was for me and Deng Xiaoping was to let our people back home get to know each other. And of course, we have massive tourist exchanges now. We have massive relationships between business communities, leaders, buying and selling goods and carrying on international trade. But I think the most far-reaching and most effective thing that we did was to authorize Chinese students to come to America. And now we have, at this moment, I believe, 240,000 Chinese students being educated in America. And we have, in the last 10 years, we've increased the number of American students coming to China by fourfold. We have 4 times as many now as we did 10 years ago. So that's rapidly increasing as well. And these are the future leaders of our two countries. And so I'm very, very proud of those direct results of that decision that I made in China. Well, I think President Obama is making the same effort that all the presidents since I left office have done. Sometimes they didn't realize before they got in office how important this new relationship was going to be for them. But I think President Obama is now making every effort he can to get to know as much as possible about China and to let the Chinese people know the facts about America. Sometimes in the news media, we don't get the honest impressions that we should get about each other. And the young students and the tourists and others that go to America bring back accurate stories, but I think it's very important that the most important relationship is between the President of the United States and the President of China, because they are the ones that can speak to each other and get to answer difficult questions. They can resolve any potential differences between our two countries, and then they can share that result of good talks with the people back home and say, I want you to understand that we have a good relationship with the other country that's also good for all of you. So that's what can result from the high-level contacts that will be taking place in November at the APEC conference.
And actually, you were interviewed the other day by U.S. media, and you said you were concerned actually there is antagonism building up between two countries.
Well, I wouldn't say antagonism, because antagonism implies an animosity or hatred. There's no feeling of that kind between the two countries. There are some potential differences that we have. We have a different culture, we have a different ancient history, have a different form of government, and we have different interests in the world. But I think that the world economy is very enormous, and I think that both the United States and China can see economic progress and development without interfering with the well-being of each other in that process. And of course, good diplomatic relations with the same countries in Africa, Latin America, Asia, I think can be very good for those small countries and developing countries. China still has a good relationship with small and very poor countries, because you've been there recently and you know much more about how they feel than maybe American leaders do. And I think that both the United States and China should have the goal of improving the lives of these people in struggling countries that still need to emerge as China has emerged in the last 35 years. And you have to go back even 60 or 70 years ago to remember the time when the United States and China were fighting side by side against some of the atrocities committed by the Japanese. We had General Chennault and the Flying Tigers over here in Yunnan province fighting against the Japanese with our partners and our allies, the Chinese. So the United States has been deeply involved in this part of the world for many, many decades, many generations. So it's not a new thing. And I don't think there's any doubt that we have plenty of room for both of us to thrive here.
Do you worry about the current tension between China and Japan?
Yes, I worry about it to some degree, but I think this is the kind of thing that can be settled and will be settled with bilateral decisions made between China and Japan. My hope and my expectation is that the United States need not be involved. And of course, this is something that was precipitated, the problem was precipitated by the mayor of Tokyo, as you know, when he violated a kind of a peaceful relationship between China and Japan on these small islands, and when he claimed that he was going to buy them and make them a Japanese tourist attraction. Well, that's what started the whole process.
Many of our audience would like to know how to stay healthy with young mind like you. And actually, this is your latest book you published. I believe this should be the
28th book. That's my 28th book.
28th book. It's unbelievable. Could you reveal your secret of longevity?
Well, first of all, I try to come to China every year. And that gives me a good health and a good attitude toward life, because I meet friends here and I've always been welcomed to China. And secondly, I have a wife that takes care of me. We've been together now for 68 years. We get a lot of exercise, we eat the right things. My wife is a good dietitian and she's an excellent cook. She does the cooking at home. So we get along quite well with each other. And so a good family life and coming to China are the two things that I think give me a good life.